Well, an update for you guys out there as to the status here at Merricks Garage. Unfortunately, I don't have great news just yet. We haven't been able to find a place. We found a handful of places that have looked good. They're just really expensive. Put in a letter of intent on a couple and haven't been able to secure that lease on a couple places. So, it's getting down to the wire. I'm concerned, I'm not worried. This is just increasing my anticipation for all the good stuff that is going to be coming. This is the dark before the dawn, so to speak. So, today's update. What have I been doing with myself over the last 2 weeks? Well, apart from trying to find a place and doing everything we can, driving around, calling people, Craigslist, LoopNet, you name it, all of that stuff. Excuse me, we just buckled down and got to work. I mean, do what you know. And what we know is building cool trucks. So that's all we've been doing. Looking for a place and building. So I've got a lot to share on Lieutenant Dan behind me. We have been knees deep in this build. He's getting a whole new wiring system. We 4-linked the front, 4-linked the back. We're redoing the bumper. We're reinforcing the frame. We're doing everything to the big block up front. It's getting a cam. It's getting all new accessories. It's getting valves. It's getting a whole, or springs. It's getting a ton. Not to mention the interior's being done. We're doing switch bros. This thing's going off. Oh, and we put a Magnum and a skid plate in there. So I'm going to lift this thing up and walk around it so you guys can see this. But I thought I would, I'd throw this out there. I need your guys' help. You see, what this has revealed to me is I love doing this stuff. I don't want to quit. In fact, I want to do more. I want to do bigger and better and greater builds than I've been able to do. And I want to do them for you guys. So Merricks Garage is going to be open for business. I've got a couple builds lined up, so we've got to find a place. But if you are interested in having us build your truck, pretty much start to finish, we're game to do everything, apart from body and paint, although I have guys who do that. So that's what I need from you guys. If you need services from me, now would be a good time to reach out and get on my schedule. I've never really opened myself up to business. This has all just kind of been a personal thing and doing projects with friends here and there, but I want to do this. I want to build killer trucks, and I want to build killer trucks for you guys and with you guys. That's not going to change what I do here on the channel. I'm still going to be showing you guys how-to stuff and talking about what's going on in the shop and answering questions and giving in detail, in-depth reviews, all the stuff that you've come to know and love from Merricks Garage. But it's going to be more of a commercial enterprise. So that's good news, right? I guess, kinda. Anyway, let's go take a look. Lieutenant Dan came down to me without a rear axle 2 years ago. This truck came from my buddy, Brian, who happens to live a couple blocks away from me. And I got tired of driving and seeing this truck rusting and dying in his driveway. Brian, much like me, has owned this truck since the 90s. This was the truck that he bought, his first vehicle. And yeah, you get to see the evolution of his abilities. He did a lot of this stuff. I mean, a lot of it is old. But we've got a sentimental build here that we're trying to resurrect. Brian did do some questionable stuff that I've talked to him about. He put a massive fuel cell. That's the fuel cell that's going in here. So when he did it, he cut up the floor and the frame, and it just was like a wet noodle back here. So this is a tray, skid plate that is going to hold this fuel cell. It's integrated into the whole frame. We sleeved the frame with that 4x4 tube. That's burned in on the frame. Basically, we took this piece of the frame from this cross member back and basically took it out of the equation because it wasn't very strong. And the strength now is coming from this whole 1/4-inch plate, skid plate, cradle, bumper, whatever you want to call it. Still quite a bit of work to do on the bumper and a lot of the fab for connecting this all up. But it's gonna be a lot more bomber than it was before. And yeah, let's get this thing up in the air and I'll show you the forelink, the sway bar, and all the other good stuff we did. Raise her up, Johnny. We gotta take this thing up to like 9 feet for John to be able to fit underneath it. It's because he's tall.
Still not high enough.
Still not high enough. That's okay, I can squat. So Brian, I think we're good, dude.
HVAC needs adjusting.
Okay, what's sketchy is when you start putting a 4-link kit on, you lose area to really lift the truck. When this is all finished, I'm gonna be tying these sliders. I'm gonna be getting rid of this Jungle Gym swing set hardware. And we're gonna be, actually I think this was an exhaust hanger he repurposed as a rock slider bracket. We're gonna be taking this rock slider and joining it to the frame for reinforcement, and that will become the point that you lift up the truck. So right now it's getting lifted by the link boxes, which is a little sketchy, but let's see.
Actually, it says radio flyer on here.
Radio, he tore up an old wagon to make this. Hey, shake it, let's see if we can make it fall off.
It will.
It will? Really? Just shake it a little bit. Let's see.
Here's like 20 pounds.
Oh, that's not going anywhere. It's wedged underneath the HVAC anyway.
Yeah, that's holding it pretty good.
Yeah, it's holding it. So when this thing showed up, Ryan had, he'd started on a lot of it, and we undid a lot of his work. Brian's a really good dude, and he knows what he's doing. He owns a brewery that he's opening another location. He has 2 kids like under the age of 4. They're having another one. He's got his hands full, and so he kind of rushed the job on here, and so we're just kind of undoing some of his more creative solutions, let's say.
He rushed the time that he did have.
Yeah, he rushed the time that he did have. So 4-link kit, as you can see, obviously, and then how I like to do these 4-links kit is to extend this shock hoop off the frame. Like, just have that outrigger that picks this thing up off the frame so you don't have to worry about clearances with steering as much, and you get to outboard the shocks a little bit more and leave plenty of room inside for the engine. So Dana 60 up front, he's had this thing for years, but check it out, he is running the dually front wheels hubs so far still. That's because he runs a Dana 70 dually in the rear, and for some reason he just thinks that's a great solution, and we're putting these, I think these are 38-year-old IROCs. They are as hard as a rock, and they are bias plies, so they're very well balanced, and they're bead locks. They're double bead locks, like well, not double bead locks, they're 2-piece rims, and we welded these rock guards on here too, and this took a significant amount of time to weld everything. We've done a lot of welding on this guy, but let's talk about the cool stuff. Let's start up here. We built this cross member and skid plate assembly to hold the Magnum box. So you got a couple options here. You've got a transmission mount right there that you could use, but I find that hanging the Magnum and the 205 off of the transmission mount, that's a lot of leverage. Off-road design gives you the option of mounting it right off of the transfer case, which I prefer. So that's what we did. We built up this cross member that you can unbolt it and drop it straight down, and the whole construct will come out, including the transfer case, which is kind of a neat feature. So installation and removal should be significantly easier. We still got some final work to do on this skid plate to get it all buttoned up, but it is there in theory. Ignore all the mismatched hardware. Once again, we're still piecing things together. And then moving to the back, well, we've had to get creative with some of the stuff we've got here. This is a sway bar. So this is a sway bar that goes through the frame right there, and it links down onto the axle on both sides with these adjustable link bars. This is gonna stop some of the body roll you might get with a 4-link setup. I have one of these in the rear of my truck. They do take some fabrication to get in, but what we're able to do was reinforce the frame. So that tube that you're seeing, that is essentially a new cross member. We're gonna be doing some boxing in on some of the corners to the frame to make it a little bit stronger. And we're gonna be plating or ribbing the frame up in here. But you can see that for the most part, back here is starting to get tidied up and buttoned down. Yeah, and this guy's really coming together. So it looks rad up here. But let's drop it down and we can talk about some of the electrical I've been doing, some of the wiring, and yeah, answer some questions you guys might have. So we began by tearing out the dash and all the old wiring. Here's what I was dealing with. We are using the American Auto Wire Severe Duty kit for this build. I've used these guys before, and what I like is you get all the wiring and everything is labeled so you know what you're dealing with. 12-volt ignitions, it'll be labeled with headlights, turn signals, oil temp, everything like that. I chose to go with the severe duty because I do not like the factory location for the fuse box on the firewall right there. So we're relocating his fuse box, and this is the fuse box that the kit comes with. It's a nice Eaton sealed unit that can be remotely mounted. We're still figuring out where we're gonna put it. And then all of the wires I labeled, I wrapped, and I broke them down so we have them all in their respective groupings. So if you take a look here, for example, everything in this loom is integral to going inside. So we're gonna have the headlight switch, the horn, the turn signals, things like that. And then we've got power and switched and 12-volt going in. I label as much as I can on multiple places on the wires so you can know what you're dealing with. The way I do that is with this guy. I use this Brady label maker, and then I cover it with, let me find the heat shrink. Well, I cover it with some heat shrink, and you put some black heat shrink, put the label on it, then cover it up with some clear heat shrink, and you end up with a harness that is nicely labeled. Let me get that in focus. Nicely labeled so you can, wow, it won't focus on it. So you can see and identify all your wiring. I started work on the Switch Pros, and although they don't recommend this, I like going to a bus bar for the electrical on the Switch Pros, because that way I don't have a ton of like butt connectors here to all the wiring. I can, like if I decide that this is gonna be my rock lights, I run my rock light wiring to there, and then if I want to change that later to something else, I just unscrew it and I can screw in a different one. It localizes everything, and what is important to me is to limit the amount of power runs I have. You don't need to have every single switch 12 volts going to the battery. So setting up a bus bar or a distribution bar is my go-to on these guys. So yeah, Lieutenant Dan is coming together. This is been a fun build. It's been nice to jump into something like this. I love these trucks, you guys, you know this. And being able to build them full time and take them from being someone's like high school rig to a new daily driver is pretty fun. So yeah, just finishing up some little things here, and then it's back to the grind, trying to find a shop space. No, it's not. John's just walking through my shot like he owns the place, but that's okay. He's bigger than me. Oh, you want to steal my phone, huh? Okay, you can film. Here. You're covering the camera with your giant phone. This is what you get when you pay for monkeys.
Tiny ass phone.
Everything's tiny.
Is this the iPhone 1.3?
Anyway, you guys, it's crunch time. We're gonna get back at it and keep hustling. I really hope to have good news for you guys when we debut our next video. But like I mentioned, do me a solid. Hit me up if you want us to build your truck. If you want us to build a roll cage, if you want us to 4-link your truck or rebuild your engine, hit me up. I want to do it. We need to line up a bunch of work if I'm going to keep this dream alive. The shops that we're looking at are going to be between $8,000 and $10,000 a month, which is a substantial amount for a truck guy like me. But I'm confident that we can do it. It's going to be rad. I'm going to build a lot of cool trucks, and next year is going to be the big breakthrough year. So hit that subscribe button, shoot me an email, james@merricksgarage.com, and get out there and work on your own truck. You don't need me to do it for you if you're capable. Just go get it done.